Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Like a Fly on the Cartwheel. This is the 7th edition, and the links to the previous 6 editions are given below. Science has given us a lot of learnings at the very quantum or very small scale. And the key precepts that we had summarized the last video with were: number 1, we are all 99.99% empty space. That is all what we are made of. All the hard table, the glass, everything which we see physically is made of is 99.99% empty space. Second, matter at the very quantum level or the very small level remains like an undecided quantum soup in many places at the same time and seems to exhibit highly probabilistic and flexible options open state all the time. Third, our consciousness seems to play some role in freezing this undecided quantum soup into physical matter and the fixity in the physical matter as we see it. So this was the last summary of my previous video. Now, for most of you who would have found this to be quite crazy and hard to believe, there is more to come. As scientists have continued to explore this quantum realm, some new insights have come over the last many years. One of the most amazing insights has been that particles or matter very far away from each other seems to know instantaneously what's happening to different parts, and they can communicate with each other over distances at speeds and velocities much higher than light. Einstein had proved that nothing can move faster than light. But interestingly, information and communication seems to be flowing much faster than light, almost instantaneously across millions of miles. So particles at one side of the galaxy can actually communicate instantaneously with particles on the other side. It's almost like a big brain which was working behind the entire universe, which instantaneously seems to know what's going on in which part. Now, these are all experiments which have been done, and I'm not boring you with the details of the experiment, but I have attached the links to these experiments explained in a very simple way to this video, and you can always see them in detail. I'm just telling you the final summary of what science has discovered and concluded upon. Whatever I'm telling you today is not sci-fi or some Star Trek kind of material. This is real stuff. Experiments which can be repeated and repeated by you, provided you have the equipment. Now I come to the last of the experiments, and this one will tell you how much our consciousness and our awareness could probably impact reality, probably more than what we believe. There are scientists who are conducting experiments where they're using consciousness to impact matter at a quantum level. And they are finding that simply by concentrating and using our consciousness, being in a separate place from where the experiment is happening, in an electromagnetically sealed chamber where you can not in any other way impact the experiment. And this has been tested again and again, and we find that you can change the results of an experiment by consciously meditating or focusing on a particular result which you want to get from the experiment. Interestingly, this experiment has been conducted at distances which are hard to imagine. The experiment is happening in the US, whereas those who are applying their consciousness are in South Africa, and the results have been the same. Now, which means that distance doesn't seem to impact in any way this whole communication between different parts of the universe. So with this, I conclude and summarize all the key learnings which have come out in a very, very concise fashion on the quantum scale. And when I say the quantum scale, these quantum particles make up everything in this universe. So there is nothing in the universe which exists which is not made of these quantum particles. So it's clear that our own raw material and the raw material of all matter around us is fundamentally behaving in a very different fashion, and there are a lot of insights and learning which science is derived from that. In summary, the reality and the physicality around us is not what our senses tell us. It is actually empty space and a lot of concentrated matter, and that matter, interestingly, behaves completely out of ordinary, being in many places at the same time and almost remaining like a quantum soup, undecided. Our consciousness, or the consciousness of the universe, acts on this matter and collapses it to give the fixity and the physicality that we see day on day. And then we learned that this universe seems to have a huge brain behind it, which seems to be able to know instantaneously all the parts of the universe, and it can connect and make changes between different parts instantaneously, and this can happen across galaxies and across the entire universe. And lastly, we learned that consciousness can impact matter at the quantum level. And like I said, I have not gone through all these experiments to bore you with the details. The links are below. Anybody interested can go through that. But these are facts which have been established well by science. And with this, I will move from exploration of the very small or the quantum level to the very large. And interestingly, even there, you will find some very interesting insights which science has demonstrated, has shown, and has proved. Probably the most fundamental reality for all of us is what we call space and time. We all live in a physical space and we occupy physical space. We cannot imagine anything which is not occupying physical space. And time is a very essential part of our understanding of the universe. We feel time running at a fixed rate at the back, and we are just living through time. And there's a past, there's a present, and the future. This is what our experience is. But as I go forward, I intend to shatter this very, very basic belief of space and time, the way we see it, the way we experience it. I will ask you to please subscribe to these videos and like these videos. It keeps me motivated and going. So thank you very much. See you soon.